North Korea. In the isolated and totalitarian state of North Korea, Christianity is not just banned, it is systematically and brutally eradicated. The Kim regime, which has ruled the country for 3 generations, demands absolute and unwavering loyalty from its citizens, a loyalty that is akin to religious worship. The state ideology of Juche, which emphasizes self-reliance and the supreme leadership of the Kim family, is the only belief system that is tolerated. Any deviation from this ideology, including the practice of any religion, is seen as a direct threat to the authority of the state and is met with the most severe of punishments. Christians in North Korea are forced to practice their faith in secret in hidden house churches that are constantly at risk of being discovered. If caught, they face arrest, torture, imprisonment in brutal labor camps, and even public execution. The persecution is not limited to the individual believer. Entire families can be punished for the faith of one member. It is estimated that there are tens of thousands of Christians currently imprisoned in North Korea's notorious network of political prison camps, where they are subjected to forced labor, starvation, and systematic torture. The possession of a Bible is a capital offense, and any contact with the outside world, especially with Christian missionaries, is strictly forbidden. The North Korean government actively seeks to indoctrinate its citizens from a young age to believe that Christianity is a tool of American imperialism and a threat to the nation's security. Despite the extreme persecution, the underground church in North Korea continues to grow, a testament to the resilience of faith in the face of unimaginable oppression. The stories of North Korean Christians who have escaped the country paint a harrowing picture of a place where faith is a death sentence, and where the simple act of prayer can lead to a lifetime of suffering. Somalia. In the war-torn and chaotic nation of Somalia, the practice of Christianity is a de facto death sentence. The country is overwhelmingly Muslim, and the radical Islamic group Al-Shabaab exercises significant control over large parts of the country. Al-Shabaab's strict interpretation of Islamic law, or Sharia, leaves no room for any other religion. Christians in Somalia are forced to live their faith in absolute secrecy, constantly in fear of being discovered by Al-Shabaab militants or even by their own family and community members. Conversion from Islam to Christianity is seen as a betrayal of one's clan and culture and is often met with immediate and violent retribution. Christians who are discovered are often killed on the spot with no trial or due process. The few who manage to survive are forced to flee the country, leaving behind their homes, their families, and everything they have ever known. The small community of Somali Christians is scattered and isolated, with no churches or public places of worship. They are unable to own Bibles or other Christian literature, and they are unable to gather together for fellowship or worship. The situation is so dire that many Somali Christians do not even tell their own children about their faith, for fear that the children might accidentally reveal their secret and endanger the entire family. The constant threat of violence and death has created an atmosphere of extreme fear and paranoia, making it nearly impossible for the Christian community to grow or thrive. The stories of Somali Christians are stories of incredible courage and resilience, of a faith that is lived out in the shadow of death, a faith that is whispered in secret and cherished in the heart, a faith that is worth dying for. Libya. In the fractured and lawless nation of Libya, Christians, especially converts from Islam, face extreme persecution from both the government and radical Islamic groups. The country has been in a state of civil war and chaos since the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, and the lack of a central functioning government has created a power vacuum that has been filled by a patchwork of militias and extremist groups, including ISIS. In this environment of violence and instability, Christians are a vulnerable and targeted minority. The public practice of Christianity is strictly forbidden, and churches are not allowed to be built. Christians who are discovered are often arrested, tortured, and even killed. The situation is particularly dangerous for converts from Islam, who are seen as apostates and are often targeted by their own families and communities. They are forced to live their faith in secret, constantly in fear of being discovered. The stories of Libyan Christians are stories of incredible bravery and perseverance, of a faith that is lived out in the midst of violence and chaos, a faith that is a light in the darkness. The persecution in Libya is not just limited to converts. Foreign Christians are also at risk. In 2015, ISIS released a horrific video showing the beheading of 21 Coptic Christians from Egypt on a beach in Libya. This brutal act of violence sent a shockwave through the Christian world and highlighted the extreme danger that Christians face in Libya. Despite the risks, there is a small but growing community of Libyan Christians who are committed to their faith and are willing to risk everything to follow Christ. They are a testament to the power of the gospel to take root even in the most hostile of environments. Eritrea. Often called the North Korea of Africa, Eritrea is one of the most repressive countries in the world, and its government is extremely hostile to any form of religion that is not state-sanctioned. The government recognizes only four religious groups: the Eritrean Orthodox Church, the Roman Catholic Church, the Evangelical Lutheran Church, and Sunni Islam. All other religious groups are illegal and are subject to intense persecution. This is especially true for evangelical and Pentecostal Christians, who are seen as a threat to the government's control. Christians from these unregistered denominations are arrested, tortured, and imprisoned in a network of secret underground prisons. It is estimated that there are thousands of Christians currently imprisoned in Eritrea, held in horrific conditions without trial or any hope of release. They are often held in shipping containers in the middle of the desert, where they are subjected to extreme heat during the day and freezing temperatures at night. They are tortured and beaten, and many have died from the abuse. The government's goal is to force them to renounce their faith, but many have refused, choosing to remain faithful to Christ even in the face of death. The persecution in Eritrea is systematic and brutal, a deliberate attempt by the government to crush any form of independent thought or belief. The stories of Eritrean Christians are stories of incredible faith and endurance, of a church that has been forged in the crucible of suffering, a church that is purified and strengthened by the very fires that are meant to destroy it. Yemen. In the war-torn and impoverished nation of Yemen, Christians are a tiny and vulnerable minority in a sea of Islamic extremism. The country has been devastated by a brutal civil war, and the resulting chaos has created a fertile ground for radical Islamic groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS to flourish. In this environment, Christians are a prime target. The public practice of Christianity is strictly forbidden, and conversion from Islam is punishable by death. Christians are forced to live their faith in absolute secrecy, constantly in fear of being discovered. They are unable to own Bibles or other Christian literature, and they are unable to gather together for worship. The few who are discovered are often arrested, tortured, and even killed. The situation is so dangerous that many Yemeni Christians do not even tell their own children about their faith, for fear that they might accidentally reveal their secret and endanger the entire family. The stories of Yemeni Christians are stories of incredible courage and resilience, of a faith that is lived out in the shadow of death, a faith that is a light in the darkness. The persecution in Yemen is not just limited to converts. Foreign Christians are also at risk. In 2016, a Catholic nursing home in the city of Aden was attacked by gunmen, and 16 people were killed, including 4 nuns. This brutal act of violence highlighted the extreme danger that Christians face in Yemen. Despite the risks, there is a small but growing community of Yemeni Christians who are committed to their faith and are willing to risk everything to follow Christ. They are a testament to the power of the gospel to take root even in the most hostile of environments. Nigeria. In Nigeria, the most populous country in Africa, Christians face a level of violence and persecution that is unmatched anywhere else in the world. The country is roughly divided between a predominantly Muslim north and a predominantly Christian south, and the rise of radical Islamic groups like Boko Haram and the Fulani militants has led to a wave of horrific violence against Christians in the northern and central regions of the country. Thousands of Christians have been killed, and hundreds of churches have been destroyed. Christian villages are attacked, and believers are slaughtered in their homes and in their places of worship. Women and girls are abducted and forced to convert to Islam and marry their captors. The violence is systematic and brutal, a deliberate attempt to drive Christians out of the northern and central regions of the country and to establish an Islamic caliphate. The Nigerian government has been largely ineffective in stopping the violence and in some cases has been accused of complicity. The stories of Nigerian Christians are stories of incredible faith and courage, of a church that is being martyred for its faith, a church that is being purified and strengthened by the very fires that are meant to destroy it. Despite the violence, the church in Nigeria continues to grow, and Nigerian Christians are some of the most evangelistic and mission-minded believers in the world. They are a powerful testament to the truth of Tertullian's famous words, "The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church." Pakistan. In the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Christians are a small and persecuted minority, living as second-class citizens in a society that is often hostile to their faith. The country's notorious blasphemy laws are often used to target Christians, and a mere accusation of blasphemy can lead to mob violence, imprisonment, and even a death sentence. Christians are often relegated to the lowest-paying and most menial jobs, and they face discrimination in education, employment, and housing. Christian girls are often abducted, forcibly converted to Islam, and married to Muslim men. The stories of Pakistani Christians are stories of incredible resilience and perseverance, of a faith that is lived out in the face of constant discrimination and harassment. The case of Asia Bibi, a Christian woman who was sentenced to death for blasphemy and spent 8 years on death row before finally being acquitted, brought international attention to the plight of Christians in Pakistan. Her case is just one example of the many injustices that Christians face in the country. Despite the challenges, the church in Pakistan continues to grow, and Pakistani Christians are known for their vibrant faith and their commitment to sharing the gospel. They are a powerful reminder that the light of Christ can shine even in the darkest of places. Sudan. In the Islamic nation of Sudan, Christians have faced decades of persecution and discrimination. The government is officially Islamic, and the legal system is based on Sharia law. Conversion from Islam to Christianity is punishable by death, and Christians from a Muslim background are forced to live their faith in secret. The government has a long history of demolishing churches, confiscating church property, and arresting and imprisoning church leaders. The stories of Sudanese Christians are stories of incredible faith and endurance, of a church that has been tested and tried, a church that has refused to bow the knee to a hostile government. The case of Maryam Ibrahim, a Christian woman who was sentenced to death for apostasy in 2014, brought international attention to the plight of Christians in Sudan. Maryam was pregnant at the time of her sentencing, and she gave birth to her daughter in prison. After a massive international outcry, she was finally released and allowed to leave the country. Her story is a powerful testament to the courage and resilience of Sudanese Christians. In recent years, there have been some positive changes in Sudan, and the government has taken some steps to improve religious freedom. However, the situation remains fragile, and Christians continue to face significant challenges. Iran. In the Islamic Republic of Iran, the government is officially a Shia Islamic theocracy, and the rights of religious minorities are severely restricted. While the government officially recognizes the existence of a small, historic Christian community, mostly Armenian and Assyrian Christians, it is illegal for Muslims to convert to Christianity, and those who do face severe persecution. The government views the growing house church movement as a threat to the Islamic identity of the nation, and it has cracked down hard on these underground churches. Church leaders are arrested, tortured, and imprisoned, and believers are constantly monitored and harassed. The stories of Iranian Christians are stories of incredible courage and faith, of a church that is growing faster than any other church in the world, despite the intense persecution. The Iranian government is terrified of the growth of Christianity, and it is doing everything in its power to stop it. But the more the government persecutes the church, the more it grows. The stories of Iranian Christians are a powerful testament to the truth that the gospel cannot be chained, and that the light of Christ cannot be extinguished. Afghanistan. Since the Taliban's return to power in August 2021, Afghanistan has become one of the most dangerous places in the world to be a Christian. The Taliban is a radical Islamic group that is committed to a strict and brutal interpretation of Sharia law. Under Taliban rule, there is no room for any other religion. Christians are forced to live their faith in absolute secrecy, constantly in fear of being discovered. The Taliban has a long history of persecuting and killing Christians, and there is no reason to believe that their return to power will be any different. The small community of Afghan Christians is scattered and isolated, with no churches or public places of worship. They are unable to own Bibles or other Christian literature, and they are unable to gather together for fellowship or worship. The situation is so dire that many Afghan Christians have gone into hiding and many more have fled the country. The stories of Afghan Christians are stories of incredible courage and resilience, of a faith that is lived out in the shadow of death, a faith that is a light in the darkness. The future for Christians in Afghanistan is uncertain, but one thing is clear: they are in desperate need of our prayers and support. India. In the world's largest democracy, Christians are facing a rising tide of persecution and violence. The rise of Hindu nationalism and the ideology of Hindutva, which teaches that to be Indian is to be Hindu, has created an atmosphere of intolerance and hostility towards religious minorities. Christians are often falsely accused of forcing people to convert, and they are targeted by radical Hindu mobs. Churches are attacked, pastors are beaten, and believers are harassed and intimidated. The government has done little to stop the violence, and in some cases has been accused of complicity. The stories of Indian Christians are stories of incredible faith and perseverance, of a church that is being tested and tried, a church that is refusing to be silenced. Despite the challenges, the church in India continues to grow, and Indian Christians are known for their vibrant faith and their commitment to sharing the gospel. They are a powerful reminder that the light of Christ can shine even in the darkest of places.